All right, so here's my new welding truck. I'm going to be bringing it in the shop, defrosting it, and completely going over all the equipment in it, all the tools and everything. But if you didn't watch my other video, this used to be my main welding truck, this 1997 Cummins. But there is some issues with it involving a new transmission under warranty and all kinds of stuff, and it still needs some other work, so it's there for now. It's a backup. And then this is my new primary truck. So I'll get it in the shop and we'll take a good look at this thing. So we'll just get on the specs of this truck. This is a 2015 F350 dually XL, so work truck. It is not diesel, it is gas. It has a 6.2 liter Ford gas motor. It's, for me, which I'm gonna get into later, that configuration is the most profitable for the type of work I do with the truck. I don't care about anything else other than making money when it comes to trucks. So if they can do that the most efficient way and make me the most money, that's what I want. So that's why I have this style truck. I don't have big 22-inch rims. I don't have a Denali. That stuff doesn't make me any money. All right, so the whole layout of the truck, it's a regular cab, so, you know, 3-seater, and it's a 8-foot box. And this is a cab and chassis truck, which means it was ordered without a bed. And the only option this truck has on the entire thing is the fact that it's a dually. As I said, it's an XL, which means it literally has 0 options. No cruise control. The only thing it has is air conditioning. You know, no power locks, no power windows, no key fob, none of that. Just as basic bare bones as you can get. So for you, those of you that are new viewers or don't know, I did a video of a build video of my first welding rig. It did really good. I think that video is over 100,000 views now. It's made me, I think that video has done $1,100 or something in ad revenue. So made some money off that video, which is great. But in the end of that video, the truck broke down and I needed a second truck. So I ended up buying this. I'm not gonna get into the story of it until after I go over the whole truck, because most people here just wanna see the truck and don't wanna hear me talk about the backstory of it. But at the end of the video, there will be a backstory. That's the truck, and now I'm gonna get into the equipment and everything in the bed and how I have that set up. All the tooling in this truck is out of my other one. I just transplanted it. Okay, let's get right to the cool stuff. This is the welder in the back. It's a gasoline welder. I'm currently kind of in the market for a diesel one, and then this will be going on the other truck eventually. But this is a 2018 Lincoln Electric Ranger 305 EFI. Cool thing about it is the EFI part. I don't see very many of these because most people have the carbureted version. This is what popped up for me at the time when I was shopping for a machine. I was looking for a 305 by Lincoln or a 325 Trailblazer by Miller. Kind of glad I bought the Lincoln. Let me know in the comments, but everyone that seems to have a Trailblazer has had some sort of breakdown within the first 1,000 hours of owning the thing. I can't say so much for this. It only has 400 hours, but so far nothing. It's a good welder. You can gouge off of it. And for people that don't understand, yes, you can gouge off of 300 amps. I don't even run 300 amps a lot of the time when I'm gouging. I'll gouge with a 1/4-inch gouging rod at 250 amps and it absolutely digs. So it's pretty impressive in that aspect. You can run 29 volts on this for CV wire. So if you're running flux core, I believe that is the only machine on the market that you can run 100% duty cycle at 29 volts for a motor in a machine this size. I think everything else, usually all the diesel versions are the ones that you can run those higher voltages. But this one you can. Got all your controls in here, downhill and CV and stick and TIG controls. It's a good machine. I've put over 200 hours on it myself. The previous owner put 180 on it. It's used, no issues. You've got a 220 or 240 volt outlet. You've got 4 120 volt outlets and then your outputs. And another nice thing for this with the Lincoln Electric is you don't have to have different outputs for CV wire. Some of these engine drive welding machines, you need a second lug with to put your welding cable in. Usually it's the ground for wire welding, CV welding. This one, you change the setting underneath the panel here and it does it for you. You don't have to switch any cables. So yeah, overall really reliable. Also, I'm still running these Diamond Reel Co. I think that's what they're called. Diamond lead reels. These are the cheapest reels you can buy. I did not want to build my own. I had no interest in building my own. I don't like building my own stuff just because I find it a waste of time that you could be making money, and building something on your own, you end up spending a lot more time on it than you think. So I like buying stuff. These were the cheapest lead reels I could buy. And so far, I've heard a lot of bad reviews about these, but I have not had any issues. Everybody seems to be burning these out, or the paint falling off of them. Yeah, the paint's falling off of mine a bit, but I haven't burnt them out yet. And I don't really unreel, like, you're technically supposed to unreel all the cable when you're like gouging off of them. I haven't done that once, and I've done quite a bit of gouging on them and haven't burnt out anything yet. And the paint's still holding on pretty good, and there's no rust water coming out of them or the other complaints people have had. They've been good. So I can't say anything bad about them, but I have heard a lot of negative reviews. If you're in a position where you have thousands of dollars to go blow on lead reels, go get your Aluma reel or Magnum reels. But if you're just trying to get started, these were, I think the set was like 500 and something dollars Canadian shipped. So from Canada Welding Supply. So, I mean, I could use them for 2 years. If they blow up, I don't really care, because at that point I would just buy a nicer set. But just to get started, they're perfect. So over here, we've got an extension cord reel. It's like a 30 something footer. And then my 25 foot or 30 foot, I think it's 30 foot oxyacetylene. I run Western Quick Connects on them. So far, this is my second set on for the end of the hose. My first set, they were brand new out of the package. They didn't really work very well. And then after one day out on a job, they got salt or something in them and they stopped working. And then I put the second set on, and these ones have been flawless. So I don't know what was wrong with my first set, but they broke right away. These haven't though, and these have, you know, something like 10 months on them. And road salt and grime and stuff all over them, and they're still good. So I like those. The reel is, I think it's a power weld. Zero issues with it yet. I only bought it for $150 or something. So again, these reels, like a lot of people make their own. I don't want to do that. So I bought this on sale for $150, and so far it's been flawless and worked perfectly fine. I've had zero issues. And again, I live in Ontario, Canada. And I live in the northern part of the province where there's way more snow, and they put salt on everything. So the reel is held up. You know, some of the fasteners and stuff are rusted over, but it still works. Okay, now we're into the first toolbox. This is I think it's a 3 foot long by like 1.5 feet or something deep aluminum box. This is a super cheap box. I picked it up at a discount tool store for like, I think it was $200. This is where I keep all my rod and CV, like flux core wire and welding wire as well, if I am carrying some. So I got my rod oven in there because I just got certified for structural welding here in Canada, CWB. So my company's now a CWB certified company. So I've been working off a few of engineered procedures. So when I'm doing that, I definitely use a rod oven. But most of the stuff in here, it's very, well, some of it's basic. I always carry 309 on me at all times. You never know when you got to weld a lifting lug or do something with dissimilar metals. So if you don't know, a lot of wear parts on heavy equipment or rock crushers and stuff can have like manganese in them, or they're made out of a hardened plate. And depending on what it is, you may have to use 309 to weld it. So I always carry 309 on the truck. And 309 is also good for welding stainless steel to stainless steel to mild steel, and then mild steel to mild steel. So it's a very good multi-purpose electrode. So I carry some of that. We got lots of 7018, mostly 532 at least in the truck right now for buckets and repairs like that. Then I have the nice rod I carry, because this is all Crossfire by Atlantic brand rod. It's really cheap rod. That's good for like buckets and stuff. And whenever I'm doing something that's engineered or structural, I usually open up brand new rods. So the last job I had here, I was using Executive brand 7018. They come in some nice tube packaging. So I guess these are new this year. Apparently they make MIG wire and now they're making welding rod. The orange one's 6010, and then the rest is all, this is gouging rod, 7018, 7018, 7018. Little torch, I guess, torch gear storage. So I buy these cheap little toolboxes, like divider boxes or whatever, and carry all my torch tips. I carry lots of different torch tips. You know, if you're doing a job, the right torch tip definitely helps depending on what kind of job it is. Sometimes, like I said, it really helps. We got the repair kits and everything, and, you know, repair crimps and all kinds of stuff. This cabinet really needs a little shelf in it. That would be nice. So I'm probably gonna make some sort of shelf thing in here. I'd probably just make it out of wood, honestly, because metal would take a lot longer, and I don't know, I have a bunch of spare wood right now. Oh yeah. Got the rosebud tip, the torch. There's another rosebud somewhere in here. Victor Journeyman torch, really nice torch, quick connects, and that's what I've been using. Got this in a package deal with my welding machine, same as the rod oven. The rod oven is really, really expensive, by the way, so if you own a welding business or are looking into getting it, that's something you're probably going to need. Look for a used one, because I think this one's like $300 and some. Oh yeah, also, like in this corner, carry some of these like specialty rods. So the 309, there's a hard facing rod, always carry hard facing rod. Some 532 hard facing rod, heavy equipment stuff. And then this stuff, pseudo arc extract or stud extract. This is like $200 for just this sleeve. All these numbers are in Canadian dollars, by the way. So this is some stuff you can weld on a broken bolt, and it won't fuse to the walls of where the bolt is bolted in. So it won't fuse to the threads. You can just build up a bolt and then weld a nut and washer on it and extract it. So that's that toolbox. That's the driver's side of the truck. Basically, currently the way it's set up is, you know, run cable off the driver's side. I've got my rod on the driver's side because this is where this box would fit. I'd prefer to have all my hand tools on this side, but with the configuration, it didn't work out like that. But good for now. In the future, the welder, for me at least, will always be kind of peeking out on the driver's side, even when I get a diesel machine, like a Vantage, because running them out of the back, I don't want to run a sliding skid where the machine rolls back out over the tailgate. I'm not really interested in that. And to put your machine all the way, especially if you have a diesel machine, to put it so it's overhanging out of the back of your truck so that you can adjust all the settings. Like this one, I can touch all the settings without climbing in the back of the truck. To put a big diesel machine on, you know, near the tailgate, it kind of offsets the weight of the truck. So I'm thinking all my machines are going to be tucked in on the driver's side. That way I can still access them. Then in the future, all my reels will be mounted on the back of the truck so you can go straight out the back. It just seems easier to me. Okay, can't really get a good angle with the camera here just because my garage door is like right there. But this is the back of my truck. I have a little tailgate space with this little swing out tailgate. It's where I keep my rod pail. There's a fire extinguisher in here. And this goes underneath this other toolbox, which you'll see later. So that's about a 4 foot by 1.5 foot cubby where I can put stuff. So yeah, anything that doesn't need to be kept out of the weather basically goes in there. Put cases of water and stuff like that. You can put a cooler in there. And then we have this toolbox. This is the ground clamp regulator storage. So regulators, got my stinger, like electrode holder, ground clamp, then other regulators. Here's the acetylene one, which is broken. Not too happy about that. It always reads 100 psi on the bottle side. Less than a year old Victor, so I'm gonna have to look into getting that warranted or fixed somewhere. Needs a new gauge. There's a bag of rags in there, but that's what that little box is. And now we'll get a different angle to show you inside of the bed of the truck. Okay, so here's the bed of the truck. That's that cabinet with the ground clamp and stuff in it. Here's my bottles. I got 2 in the truck right now, plus the acetylene standing up over here. That's oxygen. This is argon because I was doing some aluminum recently. These are wedged in with a tightening system. Basically, there's a little frame built around the bottles, and then you tighten it. There's an angle iron that tightens them together, so they're squished together. And then these are just safety chains, but the bottles themselves, you could shake the whole truck just by grabbing the bottle because they're super secure. So this is just a backup, really. We've got a box here, another box here, so I'm gonna have to bring the camera up and somehow get a view of all this. Okay, so here's the back of the truck. So we have, this used to be my rod box, toolbox off my other truck, except I ended up putting it flat in the bed of this one because it didn't fit on this truck with the way everything configured to be hanging over the side. So it's just flat. It holds all my cables. So 220 volts extension cord. We got a little air compressor in there. Welding cable, airline, 1/2-inch airline. What's this? MIG welding consumable case. There's some ratchet straps in here. There's a spare hard hat. Kind of a catch-all. More air compressor line. My gougers in here, stuff like that. Welding cable. I think there's another 100 and something feet. There's over 100 more foot or 150 foot of welding cable in here as well. So yeah, cables and kind of a catch-all. All this stuff is under lock and key as well, because last thing you want is people stealing your stuff. Now obviously they can still break in even with it all being locked, but it's just a little better to have it all under lock and key. Here's my acetylene bottle. I just run a medium-sized bottle. A lot of people are freaking out telling me that, oh, I can't run my acetylene lying down. I don't think people understood in the other video. I did a whole thing on me building the stand and putting this bottle in the stand to be in the vertical position, and yet people that don't know what they're talking about see 2 bottles lying down in the back of the truck and they instantly think one is oxygen and one is acetylene. You should know just by looking at the bottles what they are. Obviously, acetylene bottles are in a different shape and size and height than regular compressed gas bottles. So a lot of people commenting, oh, your acetylene's lying down, are probably just have no idea of what they're talking about. So yes, this has to stand up, and the reason is there's liquid in it. So if you lie it down, it's acetone that's inside of there to help absorb the acetylene. If you lie it down, you'll have acetone spraying out of your torch, which you don't want, and that stuff needs to stay in there. We've got the tightening mechanism down here for the bottles. In here, some oil and funnel and stuff for doing oil changes on the welding machine. I keep that stuff with me. There's air compressor line, air hose. Got this bad boy. LN25 wire feeder. This is super useful tool. If you are running a rig and you're doing heavy equipment repair, something that's not pipeline, and you don't have a wire feeder, what are you doing? Go get one. Anytime I have a lot of welding to do, I run that wire feeder. Got my new whip. New gun for it, brand new Lincoln Magnum, because the off-brand one I had on it that came with the welder broke, so brand new $800 gun. Then a lot of people were commenting on the other welding rig video I have about how the oil changes on the welding machine are stupid because you have to lift the whole welding machine out of the truck to access it. No, you don't. On the other truck, there was a space between the bed and the welding machine where you could open this up, slide it off, and access everything. So on this truck, the panel comes off even though the acetylene is in the way, and you can fully do an oil change as it sits in here without even having to remove this bottle. And if you want to remove this bottle, it's only a ratchet strap, so it's not that hard. So yeah, it's been, you know, it's been great. I just did an oil change recently. It's not hard at all. There's a top panel here. That's how you put the oil inside of the welding machine over here. And as I said, on the Dodge, you could still change the oil without ever moving anything in that truck. Okay, so on the passenger side of the truck, I would like this toolbox on the driver's side, but it didn't fit, so it's on the passenger side. It's all my hand tools and welding shields. I also need to put some shelving in here. And again, I'd probably just make it out of wood. So there's a toolbox, there's grinders, welding helmet. I don't use torching shield. I use a torching helmet because the big lenses for the whole torching shield are pretty expensive. So I just buy a 2x4 lens at shade 5 and put it inside of a welding helmet. Makes it way cheaper to change out your plastic lenses. Pencil grinder. All my discs and stuff are kept up on that rack. I got some knee pads here, Betsy clamps, impact guns, and hydraulic rams, fitting tools, wedges and stuff. It's not very organized, but there's not a lot of stuff in here, so I'm able to, oh yeah, there's socket set. I'm able to know where everything is, but I definitely should be making a shelf in here and getting this a bit more organized, and probably taking the welding helmets and PPE stuff out and figuring out another spot for them and just having tools in here. But that's that. The lid's on struts, so it stays open. Here's the air compressor. Not too happy with it. It works. Yes, you can gouge off of it, but it's originally electric, and then someone converted it to gas, and then when I bought it, I replaced the gas motor. Puts out lots of air, but I think I need to mess with the pulley sizes so that it builds air faster. But it has the metering valve that revs the motor up to increase the pressure. Isn't really working correctly. It only worked for 2 months and then never worked, 2 months, and then all of a sudden now it just lets the motor rev full out all the time and then overpressurize the tank and put the blow-off valve off. But I barely use this thing. It's mostly used for gouging, and even then a lot of places end up having air, or I figure out another thing for air because this doesn't produce really that much. It gouges, but you can only gouge for 20 minutes and then it's got to recuperate. So in the future, I'm going to look at replacing this air compressor with a VMAC G30, I believe it's called, rotary screw compressor. They look way, like, put out 30 CFM constantly. I believe you don't need a tank with it, so it's a lot smaller, takes up less room, it's lighter. And it's got a nice Honda motor on it, and they have a good warranty. Okay, so I'm going to give an overview of what happened to my old truck, why I bought this truck. Do I still have 2 trucks, and go over my plans for that. So basically, I'll go over the story of the old truck. So if you guys didn't watch my previous video, I have another video called My First Welding Rig. It has over 100,000 views now. It's me building up and putting all the tooling that's in this truck, actually. Collecting all the tooling and putting it into a 1997 12-valve Cummins Dodge Ram. So that truck I've always wanted that truck, and I've always wanted a long box extended cab 12-valve Cummins 4x4. So I bought one and kind of restored it up a bit, put it into working order, got it to pass certification, and got the transmission rebuilt. That truck made money, and it paid off all the tooling, and the truck itself, it all paid for itself in the first 3 months that I was out working. But the transmission had been fully rebuilt, and I paid quite a bit for it. And then 3 months later, I was driving and I lost all power to the transmission. The engine would start. The engine was perfectly fine, but the transmission had no power going to it at all. So I had to get it towed, and I still had warranty on it. So I went through the shop that had rebuilt it. It took them about 4 weeks to repair the truck. So when I had originally called, I didn't even ship it to them for 2 weeks while it sat in my driveway broken. So during that time in my driveway, like the first time I called the guy, he said it probably wouldn't be 3 weeks until he could get it in a shop, and then realistically in a shop a week. So he said, yeah, a month. So as soon as I heard that, I started looking for another truck because I was running a business, and I can't just run a business with no welding truck. So I could do like at-home repairs or whatever, but I don't get a lot of that work. Most of my business is all mobile on-site welding. So I decided to start looking for another truck because I had made some money, profit. The first 2 months paid off the gear and the last truck, and then the other month was a lot of profit. So I reinvested and bought this truck. I paid, I think all said and done, it would have been $15,000 for this truck, Canadian, which is like 12,000 US. And it has 250,000 kilometers, which is like 180 something thousand miles. I'm not sure. So it's got quite a bit of life on it. So I guess it's been used. It had a plow mount on it, which I took off. So it had been used as a plow truck. And then someone had previously used it as a welding truck. And whoever did put that steel deck on it, it's like a landscaping box. I don't even know what to call it. It's not a dump box. It doesn't dump. But that box is homemade. It is pretty bad. I mean, just horrible. So I had to use it though because it works. I mean, it's nice to work off of, I'll give it that. But eventually I'm going to build my own deck for this truck. So basically my thinking behind the second truck was I do not want a diesel. So my Dodge is a diesel. I'm perfectly fine with that one being a diesel because it's a pre-emissions diesel. It's from 1997. So there's like the exhaust is a straight pipe. There's no limiting to it or anything. It's just a diesel motor, and it runs great. So if you don't know, modern day, like a 2023 diesel truck has a whole bunch of emission systems things on the engine now and in the exhaust that are, one, very expensive components, and two, they make the truck extremely unreliable. So when you buy a brand new diesel truck, you have all this equipment on it that you can either pull off, delete it, which can be expensive, or you leave it on, which you'll still have your warranty, but it makes the truck very unreliable. Like something like over like 80% of all breakdowns on modern diesel trucks have something to do with the emission system and not with the actual truck itself at all. So I didn't want a diesel. I don't tow. I just carry payload in the back of the truck, so I really don't need a diesel. So I started looking into gas trucks, and then that's when I found the Ford 6.2 liter. So far, this motor has the best track record for heavy-duty trucks. So that's why I got it. There's the Chevy 6 liter, and then there's the Dodge 5.7, and then also the 6.2 Hemi. But those, from what I've read, are not as reliable as the Ford 6.2, so that's why I went with the Ford. Also, it's way easier to find the Fords. It seems like more companies buy Fords, like large construction companies and just companies in general. They'll buy a whole fleet of Fords opposed to going with Chevy or Dodge. So parts for this thing are easy to find. They're reasonably priced. A lot of the government buys a lot of these Fords. So there's just a lot of them around, a lot of parts, a lot of people have worked on them, a lot of people already know all the issues. So that's why I got this truck. And now it's been working out perfectly fine. It doesn't do good mileage, but I don't care because I charged my mileage to the customer anyway. So I never actually officially pay for fuel in the truck. I pay for it, but I put it on the invoice for whatever I use. So it doesn't matter how bad it is on fuel. So it's got some new tires on it. So 15 grand, not bad. Like I said, it's got some new tires on the front. It's got a bunch of brake work done to it at the dealership because I bought it certified. You have to certify your vehicles here. But I'll make another whole video on why I got a gas truck. But overall, for me, from now on, I'm thinking I'm going to be buying only F350s and 250s with the 6.2 liter gas because I've crunched the numbers and it seems to be the most profitable option. Now, if I could find a Silverado with the 6 liter that was in decent shape, yeah, sure, I'd go get that as well. But I'm done with anything diesel. I'll only run that one Cummins diesel. Other than that, the maintenance on them and the overall price and all the issues that you can have with them, for me, I'm not using the diesel to its capabilities. Like, they didn't design a diesel truck just to throw, 3,000 pounds in the bed and drive around with it. That's what a gas truck is for. A diesel truck is made to have a fifth wheel or a gooseneck trailer on it, or just a bumper tow and just be driving back and forth down the highway constantly with a trailer, making money by transporting goods. That's what a diesel motor is really good at. The gas motor, it's just there to get from A to B. Yes, you can tow with it. It won't be amazing, but it'll get the job done. And in this scenario, I'm not towing anyway. I'm just going from A to B with, I don't even think there's like 2,000 pounds in the bed. So the gas motor is the obvious choice, and it worked out pretty good so far. Okay, so the reason I got the dually is it's more of a legal reason. So where I live, the gross vehicle weight from the manufacturer is the maximum allowed amount of weight you're allowed to run in a commercial vehicle. So this truck is rated at 14,000 pounds because it's a dually. So that ups the towing capacity as well as the payload capacity. So like what capacity you can put in the bed, because it's a larger axle and larger springs. So for me, this truck weighs around 7,000 pounds. It has a gross vehicle weight of 14,000 pounds. So essentially it has no options. It's bare bones. There's hardly any electronics in the thing. It doesn't even have a factory bed. And the bed that's on it is actually probably lighter than a factory steel bed. So that means that this truck could have a dump box full of 7,000 pounds of gravel. Well, a dump box plus whatever amount of gravel would equal 7,000 pounds, and you'd be legal. So when it comes to welding, I can put 7,000 pounds of stuff in this truck before I hit my weight limit, which is awesome. So that means I can run a diesel welding machine and a gas welding machine on this truck, which is what I want to do eventually. I'm going to eventually look into hiring an apprentice, and that way I can run 2 welding machines on this truck, as well as run lots of different tooling and toolboxes and a material rack. So I can load this truck up quite heavy and still be within my legal amounts, which is very important where I live. You don't want to mess with being overweight and going over your gross vehicle weight and stuff. So this truck can tow, combined weight with towing, it can be, way more than 14,000 pounds. But the 14,000 pounds is what the vehicle can weigh as it's with the vehicle and whatever is in the bed of it. Also, another plus of running a dually is the width is wider, which means you can run a wider deck. So that's why this deck is about a foot wider than I would be able to run with a single rear wheel truck. Just because you can buy F350s with just a regular Dana 70 axle in the back, or if it's a Dana 80 without the dually conversion, I'm not sure. But it just has 4 wheels, there's not 6. So the wider deck makes it easier to work off of. You can store more stuff on the deck, and obviously accessibility is easier. And it's also a short box, a regular cab truck. So even though it's a dually, it's very wide, but it's very short truck. It's the same as a regular cab F350 with an 8-foot bed. This truck's the same length. So even though it's wider, it's not a long truck. So yes, it's a dually that takes up a lot of space, but the truck's very short. So it's actually not a big truck. And my Dodge is actually significantly longer than this thing. So this truck fits in like almost anywhere. And the mirrors go past the tires and the bed. So it's if you can fit your truck with your mirrors in it, this whole truck will fit. So I'm pretty happy about that. Been very easy to maneuver and back in and get in certain spots. So yeah, so far it's been good. I'm gonna do another video on I'm probably gonna do a welding rig, types of welding rig video, and then I'm also gonna do a video explaining, probably do like a 1-year review on having a gas engine work truck eventually. But that'll be in the future. Thanks for watching and subscribe.